Elon Musk is a cheater with a bloated ego. Who would have expected, right? In any case, the only surprising thing about this is how do you make a 41-minute video out of this situation?
In January of 2025, Elon Musk, the world's richest man, was exposed for lying to the gaming community about his video game accomplishments. In December,
Wait, he cheated in Diablo 4? I did not know that. Is that confirmed now?
he had posted to Twitter numerous times on his alt account, bragging about all of the work he'd put into his Path of Exile 2 hardcore character. On hardcore mode, if your character dies a single time, the character is lost forever, so getting to a very high level is a difficult task, and Elon was very proud of himself for how far he'd gotten. On January 7, he streamed Path of Exile 2 on his main Twitter account, and he showcased just how far his character had come. It was now one of the highest leveled characters in the entire world, which would have taken many hours to accomplish. And not only would it have taken
many hours of literal non-stop playing, by the way.
Taken a long time, but he would have needed to be very efficient to keep up with all of the other gamers who weren't also hanging out with Donald Trump and allegedly running multiple companies. But there was a problem. It was obvious from Elon's gameplay that he had no idea what he was doing.
This is so good. So, if you don't know what he's doing here, he's trying to click on this, but this is not finished. This is not connected to anything that's finished. Green is finished, this is available, and this one is white, aka unavailable. Of all the things to try and click on, he is trying to click on the only thing and getting confused why he can't go there. I mean, it does make sense because it has four... What did he call this? Mods? No, he didn't call it mods. Four something. Four levels of... I don't know what he called it, but it was funny.
He was a complete noob, and not only did he lack the basic fundamentals of high-level Path of Exile play, but he seemed to lack some basic fundamentals of action RPGs in general. It was immediately obvious that he had
the reason why he's showing it is, actually I'm the only one who talks about it. So, when you open up your inventory in Path of Exile, and you click on something that's on the ground, it doesn't go in your inventory like it does in Diablo 4. I'm pretty sure that's how it works in Diablo 4. It goes on your cursor. So when you look at his cursor and what's happening, he's click on the map, and he thinks it's gonna instantaneously teleport to in his inventory, but it doesn't. So you can see his cursor click on the map and instantaneously go for the next one. But then he's like, oh, wait, it's on my cursor. Well, better put it in the backpack. Watch.
He lacked the basic fundamentals of high-level Path of Exile play.
See? This is something not a lot of people noticed.
But he seemed to lack some basic fundamentals of action RPGs in general. It was immediately obvious that he had barely played the game, let alone played enough to level his character to the point it was. Elon had been lying. The truth is that he had been paying other people to play his account for him, which he has since admitted.
Imagine being the Chinese sweatshop leveler who leveled Elon's account and probably didn't even know it. That's a wild story that no one will ever hear because he most likely already decided to test out the safety nets.
This entire situation was bizarre. The man has more money and more power than you could ever want, yet he still felt compelled to lie about something so trivial. And to top it off, his reaction to being exposed was arguably more childish and insecure than the original lie itself. But what I find interesting is that it was this particular claim that seems to have really ignited this entire scandal. Because it's one thing to say that you've leveled up a character in a video game, but it's another thing entirely to say that you used to be one of the best players in the world at one of the most competitive video games of all time.
Quake.
If you think about like StarCraft or any game like Quake, any game where a lot of people are playing, to rise to the top, you have to be exceptional. Period. As a human being, there has to be something exceptional about you.
Yeah, actually, for mention Quake, way back in the day, I was one of the world's best Quake players.
I know we talked about this.
Yeah.
I loved Quake.
And not only was he one of the best, but he was even semi-professional.
A long time ago, I was like semi-pro good at Quake. This is really dating.
Semi-pro good is about skill level, not actually. He's talking about skill level here, not actually being like a professional that goes to tourneys and wins prize money and stuff like that.
In fact, he was part of one of the best teams, and they even came second in the first esports tournament ever, and he won thousands of dollars.
One of the best teams in the country, actually.
Hey, this is new. I never heard this one before.
And I think it was the first paid esports thing in the U.S. We ended up coming second in that. I think like we made a few $1,000s or something. So it was pretty good at Quake back in the.
Wait, Coddle's saying one thing. He said, "I'm already confused. What I'm supposed to build? What do you mean?"
Today.
Elon has been making these claims for.
Wait.
They even came second in the first esports. In fact, he was part of one of the best teams, and they even came second in the first esports tournament ever, and he won.
But Elon Musk himself in this clip is saying that it wasn't the first tournament ever. It was the first money prize tournament in America or something.
Thousands of dollars.
One of the best teams in the country, actually. And I think it was the first.
Yeah, and one of the best teams in the I mean, Coddle's kind of actually stretching out here what he's saying. Shit, wow. Unexpected. A lot of gamers do hate Elon, but pro tip, by the way, here, boys. Okay, if you want to make fun of Elon Musk in gaming circles, do that, okay? The fact that he doesn't know what an editor is pretty hilarious if you're a gamer, but never talk to a normal non-gamer person about Elon Musk not knowing what an editor is. Because gamers, people who are adjacent to, Twitch personalities, streamers, and watching all of that, we know what an editor means. But for the rest of the world, the editor doesn't mean that. So yeah, don't bring the editor shit up in any normal non-gamer discussion, because you're just gonna look like a moron.
I think the first paid esports thing in the U.S. We ended up coming second in that. I think like we made a few $1,000s or something. So it was pretty good at Quake back in the day.
Elon has been making these claims for an entire decade, and they are orders of magnitude more outrageous than his Path of Exile 2 claims, and yet they didn't seem to cause any real backlash.
But the Quake thing is kind of hard because you actually have the best all-time Quake player coming out and saying, well, in one tweet he says Elon Musk sucked, but in the other he says Elon Musk was good. So, mixed signals,
Of course, once Elon was classified as a liar in general because of his Path of Exile claims, all of his other claims of video game prowess were discarded as well, as almost certainly being fabricated. If he lied about his Path of Exile achievements, he probably lied about his Quake achievements too. But that wasn't good enough for me.
Makes sense to ask that.
Elon made very specific claims about Quake history. He pointed to a specific tournament that occurred around a certain time period, and he even gave an exact prize amount for second place, which if true, would have been the biggest prize pool in Quake by far for the time. If this tournament
Well, to be fair, no, a few $1,000s for the first tournament back in the fucking Stone Age, effectively, that is an unbelievable amount. A Quake I literally don't know anything about the history of Quake almost. Listen, a tournament so early, if lucky, has like $100 prize pool. Not first place, but pool in general. Maybe it has like 100 to 100 prize pool.
Existed, it would have left a footprint. However, if you just search Google for this supposed tournament, you will find nothing. There are multiple websites chronicling the history of Quake multiplayer, and they all list the major tournaments, but Elon's tournament is nowhere to be found. Honestly, I was ready to make a public statement that Elon's Quake claims were completely false. But then, out of nowhere, I found a crumb. A single breadcrumb that eventually led me all the way to the truth.
Whoa, 5K? That is so wild!
Crumb. A single...
What? 5K is huge for 1997, Jesus.
Breadcrumb that eventually led me all the way to the truth. In today's video, we will examine, among other things, Elon's claim of being one of the best Quake players in the world. Is it completely untrue, or is there even a hint of substance to what he says? Let's find out. I really hope you enjoy. Now, legends, this video is sponsored by the military online game War Thunder.
The game.
And when it comes
at one point I was, maybe one of the best Quake players in the world.
By the way, who fucking hates Lex Friedman at this point? Oh god, it's so fucking just dull and boring. Lex Friedman is one of those motherfuckers who literally just values himself and his opinions way too many times above everyone else, and he doesn't have the backing to do anything, okay? Jesus. Lex Friedman pisses me off at this point. What a dull, self-absorbed existence.
Actually won money in what I think was the first paid esports tournament in the US.
Elon has claimed many times that he was one of the best Quake players in the world, and his evidence to back up this claim is always the same. Elon states that he was in a team that came second in the first paid national esports tournament in America.
Again, we have seen already multiple clips of him not saying first paid tournament. Now he had North America. I don't know, seems sketch.
A really long time ago, I was one of the world's best players of Quake. I think it was like the first esports tournament in the US, or they claimed it was. And we came second in that tournament. I think it was in like 96 or 97.
At one point I was quite competitive at Quake. Played what I think was maybe the first paid esports thing in the US. My team came second.
It's not a super long-term career being a pro gamer. I was semi-pro back in ancient times with Quake. So I actually made money and had the first paid tournament in the US.
We're one of the best teams in the country, actually. And I think it was the first paid esports thing in the US. We ended up coming second in that. I think we made a few $1,000s or something. So it was pretty good at Quake back in the day.
In theory, this should be easy to confirm, as it's a very specific claim, and the amount of money that Elon claims to have won for second place, several thousand.
I actually want to know more about the Diablo scandal than honestly Quake. This sounds boring. No one gives a shit about Quake. Diablo 4 bad? Now that's a conversation that people want. Okay? Because my take on Elon Musk cheating in Diablo 4 is, I don't think he cheated. I think he did have someone who leveled up the glyphs, leveled up the character, did all the premeditative stuff, and then he obviously bought literally all the best gear pieces for real money. I do think that is a thing. But the fact that he didn't play it himself, he did.
$1,000 means that the prize pool would have had to have been massive. This absolutely would have left some.
Well, to be fair, when you have literally everything best in Diablo 4, playing it is not hard because the skill cap at being good at Diablo 4 at the max level is somewhere around the skill cap of being a complete beginner at Diablo 4, aka no one can really tell the difference between a beginner playing Diablo 4 and, a professional.
Some kind of historical footprint. A superficial search of Google, however, yields no results that match this description. There are multiple websites that have been preserved that document the history of Quake, including the significant tournaments. And from these resources, a tournament of this size just didn't occur. The first Quake tournament that has both a cash prize and also historical evidence is the Red Annihilation tournament, which had its finals in June of '97. This is one of the most significant tournaments in esports history, precisely because it's seen by many people to be the first true esports tournament, at least as we know esports today. In this event, 16 qualified players were flown to E3 '97.
Dude, imagine how bad these people were back in the day. Imagine how unbelievably bad they were. Most 13-year-olds can probably, if you took a 13-year-old back in time, convinced them to play Quake in whatever the fuck year that was, 1997, that 13-year-old would absolutely stomp every Quake player there. The skill level has gone up so tremendously, it's insane.
7 for the finals, and the winner, Dennis Fong, aka Thresh, took first place, which had a prize of $5,000 cash and one of John Carmack's Ferraris. Red Annihilation helped to popularize Quake competition, and shortly after this event, the first esports leagues such as the Professional Gamers League and the Cyber Athlete Professional League were formed. From Red Annihilation onwards, everything is extremely well documented, and there is no existence of a team tournament that had a second place prize of several $1,000s. And there is also no historical evidence of any tournaments, prize pool or not, that Elon Musk or his team came second in. So if Elon did win anything, it must have been something after.
Damn. I never heard, by the way, him, well, not him. I never heard any video clips before this about him talking about being an actual, like, competitive Quake player. You know, at least to this extent. Wow, this story is kind of wild.
Quake was real.
But, honestly, this doesn't seem to lie to me, because there's one thing, okay? Lying is a very complicated thing, especially when you tell stories like this. And this does not feel like a lie, because of one simple reason. Because every clip that he's showing of Elon Musk here, he's talking about it and changing small minor details, but that's how stories go. I have, over the years of doing YouTube, I have told so many stories, and I probably have told some stories like 3, 4, maybe even 5 times. And you know what happens? Details change. I slightly change things how I say. And I know this personally because I actively do it. I slightly change it a little bit for the story to sound a little bit more, you know, understandable at times, you know? I change a couple of things, or I accidentally change. And that's not because I'm lying. That's just because it's a very, very old story, and it's fuck me if I can remember everything. And this seems how he's saying this. It's not like if you're lying, you kind of have a script ready. Okay? This is a lie he has said multiple times. So he would try to be as consistent as possible and not change these big things about it. So this is kind of like really awkward and strange from that perspective.
Released in June 96, but before Red Annihilation, a year later. Though even if this tournament exists, whether or not it was the first paid national esports tournament really depends on your own definition of what esports and paid means. The reality is that people have been competing in national tournaments in video games and receiving money from it for decades. For example, in 1980, there was a National Space Invaders tournament where thousands of people competed. The regional winners were awarded $150 each, plus an all-expenses-paid trip to the finals. First and second place were awarded prizes, and third place received a $500 check. In 1981, the World Asteroids Championships took place in Washington, D.C., with the winner receiving $5,000, and second and third place winning $3,500.
How the fuck do they have so much money to spend? You need to keep in mind, this is what? 1981. Let's check the inflation shit. Inflation calculator. Let's check. ICP inflation calculator. Okay, so let's go January 181 to January now, and let's put in those 500 smacka-buckaroonies. Okay, boys. And how much is that gonna be? How much is that gonna be? What is your prediction? I would predict that that's gonna be like, I don't know, 12K, maybe however much K. Anyway, are you ready? Are you ready? Pressing the button. 1, 2, bam. 18K. Imagine that shit. 18 motherfucking K. That is absolute insanity. That's a lot more than I thought. Jesus. Also, let's do this for fun. Let's check. Oh my god, look at this insanity. Wow. This is painful. This is absolutely painful. That's economics for you boys. Ouch. I thought it's gonna be like 12 to 15k, but 18k, that is insane. But yeah, that is a lot of money. That is an unreasonable amount of money. Like, what do you mean?
and 2,500 respectively. In 1990, the Nintendo World Championships was a massive video game tournament. Here, the winners in each age bracket received a car along with $10,000. If you are inclined to be a little less pedantic about what constitutes as paid, you can go far back as 1972 with the Intergalactic Space War Olympics, an event that many people consider to be the very first esports tournament. In 1984,
wait, but we already heard it. I'm so confused.
There was a worldwide track and field arcade competition, where, according to Guinness World Records, over 1 million people participated, with the US winners receiving a Jeep and being flown to Japan for the World Finals. Large-scale video game competition isn't a new thing. It's been happening for as long as video games have existed. But for the sake of argument, let's accept that none of these count.
I mean, true, I know that they have been existing since the days of LAN and shit, but like, I mean, come on. The surprising thing is the amount of money that was put into this. That is wild.
Because they don't fit the modern definition of esports, which generally involves complex player-v-player combat where you can directly interact with the opponent. In my opinion, modern esports first developed with fighting games like Street Fighter II. In 1991, Midway sponsored a tournament in California, flying the regional winners to San Diego for the finals, where the winner earned a Street Fighter II cabinet. In 1996, the Battle by the Bay was the first yearly tournament that would later become known as the Evolution Championship Series, or EVO, which now hosts the biggest fighting game tournament in the world. And of course, we can't forget about Quake's predecessor, Doom, which spawned the concept of deathmatch. In 1995, the year before Quake was released, there was a tournament called Deathmatch 95, with the finals taking place at the Judgment Day event organized by Microsoft.
Okay, Coddle, listen. I could not give less of a shit. Can we get back to Elon Musk being a cheater and whatnot? Okay, thank you very much.
But personally, I don't think the distinction between a cash prize or any other type of prize is a helpful one in determining if Elon's second place achievement meant he was any good. Thresh, the eventual winner of Red Annihilation, didn't specifically win cash at Deathmatch 95, but that doesn't mean his victory was any less significant.
No one cares about the semantics, Coddle.
And it was in part because of this first major win that Thresh would receive his first product endorsement in '96, and is considered by many to be the first esports pro. So I will let you decide if Elon's decision to exclude all tournaments that didn't specifically award cash prizes and all tournaments that might not be considered esports by today's standards is relevant, though we still don't even know if this tournament happened, or if Elon came second. And if you trust a lot of the comments online...
Okay, that's what we want to know. We want to know that. Did this even happen? I mean, at the start, he kind of alludes that it actually did happen.
You would be forgiven for assuming it didn't. Many people think the early history of Quake is completely documented, and because there is no concrete evidence of Musk's claim, he must be—
Oh, there's no way it's completely documented. That, though, must be not. There's no way it's true. There's no way it's fully documented.
Lying. But shockingly, I discovered this is simply not true. There was at least one Quake tournament with a significant cash prize that occurred before Red Annihilation, and the result of that tournament seems to have been lost to the sands of time. If Elon's story is true, I believe I've found the only tournament he could possibly be referring to. There is some credible evidence that Elon may actually be telling the truth. In June of 2017, a user posted to the Quake forum on ESR.com that they had listened to Elon's biography. In this biography, it mentioned that Elon's company Zip2 had a team that came second in a tournament and won several $1,000s. This person wanted to know if it was true or if it was just an exaggeration. Zip2 was a company that Elon co-founded in 1995, which was an online city guide that gave users information about local businesses. The biography in question was written by Ashley Vance and was released in 2015. In it, Elon claims his team, comprised of his employees, competed in one of the first nationwide tournaments and won a few $1,000s. Most of the forum post replies were unhelpful or claimed that this was false. For example, this reply, which states that there were only 2 North American deathmatch tournaments with over $1,000 prize money, and all of the finalists were well known. However, a full 5 years after the original post, an anonymous user posted this reply.
Extremely late to the game here, but yes, Elon is 100% correct. We were the team that beat him in Zip2. We were Clan Olympus. Dumb name, yes. It was the first tournament held by Empath in Player that eventually hosted the Red Annihilation single-player game that awarded the Ferrari. I remember distinctly.
Okay, so can we just ask the Red Annihilation tournament creators, was this true? It's like, I don't like this rabbit hole shit, okay? I want answers, not a story of, wait, but there's more!
Going to their webpage after playing against them in the final and seeing their About page with their executive profiles. All were unremarkable 20-something unkempt nerds, much like we were, and didn't think anything of it until Elon became a billionaire and his ties to his older companies became public knowledge.
Let's be clear, an anonymous post on an obscure message board isn't good evidence, and when I read this, I quite frankly didn't put much stock in it. Still, there are some details that are important to note here, mainly that the clan was called Olympus, the tournament was held by M-Player, and it was before the Red Annihilation tournament. And this wouldn't be the only player from Olympus that would step forward. After a June 2023 interview where Elon once again brought up his Quake claims, a user posted the video to Reddit, asking if anyone had any information. The anonymous post from ESR.com was reposted, which was promptly shot down, with users saying this was false because all results are available historically. But then, months later, an account with the...
how fucking stupid do you need to be to think that everything got documented, okay? 50 years ago, all the stuff that we knew about history is lost at this point, okay? That's the reality of our world. Now, this is granted not 50 years ago exactly, but you get the point. Like, no one tries to keep this type of knowledge because why the fuck would you?
Name Ollie Sparta replied to the thread, claiming the story Elon told was true.
Hey there, heard about this Elon story the other day from my buddy. This story Elon told? It's true. How do I know? I was there. We were the team that beat a Zip2 team in this tournament you all are saying didn't happen.
Sparta also claimed to be in Clan Olympus.
Okay, this just sounds like someone who wants to be a fucking Redditor.
And gave a detailed breakdown of the tournament final. This post seemed to back up the anonymous user from ESR.
I mean, I look at something like this and it's not evidence at all. Because, okay, so... we don't know about the... I can make up what happened in this tournament too, okay? First of all, it had fairies in it participating. Yeah, that's right, protection fairies against evil voodoo charms, because that was popular back in the days in that Quake scene, because it was very tight. That's why no one knows about it, you see? Because it was black magic and shit. Yeah, okay? Stupid.
But there were some immediate red flags that made me doubt the veracity of this story. The story gave several details that couldn't possibly be correct if Elon was telling the truth, like saying the top prize was $1,000, which makes no sense if Elon's team received several $1,000s for second place. They also thought the tournament may have been in 1998, which was a year after Red Annihilation. Sparta would continue to post replies, and his timeline of the tournament eventually returned to believable territory, clarifying that the tournament happened in 96 or 97, and that Red Annihilation happened afterwards. Sparta also claimed that if you can't find any information about the tournament, it's not because it didn't happen, it's just because any evidence was contained on the M-Player website, which has no archives from that time period, which is true. The earliest M-Player archives I can find are from 98 onwards. Sparta gave details that at the time seemed impossible to verify. For example, specific details about this alleged tournament, for which I could find no results for. But he did make claims.
I mean, if I'm telling this, okay, let's imagine the prize amount is true. If I'm telling this story just as a throwaway thing, I mean, do you just say, oh yeah, sure, a few thousand, who fucking cares? I don't remember the price. Yeah, you kind of do say it like that. Plus, Elon Musk at that time is still rich. So what the fuck does he care? Is it a couple of hundreds, a couple of thousands? Like, it literally makes no difference in his life.
That I could verify, which would help to establish his credibility. He claimed that in the Red Annihilation tournament, he ended up in the top 32. And sure enough, when I checked the results for Red Annihilation, there was a player named Sparta who was eliminated in the round of 32. I also found another member of his team, Ollie Hades, who also made the top 256. The fact—
now this is harder to disprove because this person— well, is there a chance that he went to the website and looked up something that is believable? Yes, but I mean that is way too much foresight.
That I could verify this part of Sparta's post made him much more credible, but it still wasn't enough for me to completely believe his story. However, if true, this post does narrow down the search for Elon's tournament. Both the anonymous user on ESR.com and Sparta claimed it was on mPlayer, so that's where my attention focused. Back in the early days of Quake, there were several platforms that casual gamers could use to play online. The two main ones being the Total Entertainment Network and mPlayer. These platforms allowed people to quickly and easily play Quake and other multiplayer games against other people over the internet, and they would charge players a monthly fee to use their service. mPlayer launched in late '96, and as I mentioned a moment ago, we have no archived pages from that time. So any news about any tournaments from mPlayer itself has been completely lost. But as I said, at the time, there were many various websites that posted Quake news. mPlayer had just launched, and in an effort to grow their brand, they advertised in different ways, including full-page advertisements in—
Okay, can we just get the summary? Is it true or not at the end? The truth. There we go, boys. Elon's claims. No, let's start with Elon's claims, okay?
Compare Elon's account with the actual truth. According to Elon, he was a semi-professional Quake player who was one of the best in the world at the time. He was on one of—
To be fair, I mean, you can't judge anyone who is the best at that time in the world, except for Tresh, I guess, who is considered to be that, but everyone can claim they're the best in the world, so at this time especially, right? So I don't think this matters as a claim.
The best teams in the world, which came second in the first paid esports tournament ever, in which he won $3,000. The truth is that while Elon did play—
Bro, come on. First ever American esports. You're just kind of obfuscating the word American? I mean, Carl, this is just trying to make Elon Musk look bad, okay? You don't need to go out of your way to do this. Currently, not a lot of people are happy with what he's fucking doing.
Esports tournament ever, in which he won $3,000. The truth is that while Elon did play Quake often, he was not very good. In early '97, he entered a Quake tournament that was only open to paid registered users of the brand new platform mPlayer, a platform that no top players used. Using his superior internet connection, which gave him an unfair advantage, his team managed to come second, earning them $750. A question that arises is whether or not Elon's exaggerated claims are from poor memory, intentional deception, or straight delusion. And in my opinion,
straight delusion.
It's hard to pin this down to anything other than Elon just being a dishonest person in general. Elon straight up lies a lot. For example, in one of his Joe Rogan interviews, he claims that he played Quake during his final semester in college.
Yeah. In my final semester in college, I probably put more time into Quake than all my college classes.
However, it's well established that Elon Musk had dropped out of his postgraduate degree in '95 to form his company Zip2.
Well, that was the summer of '95. I had no money whatsoever. I was working, doing research in Silicon Valley on a completely different subject and trying to start this company at the same time. And when it came time to decide, do I want to do graduate studies or do I want to start this company? And I decided to start the company. I had no money. As a graduate student, I would have received a scholarship and a stipend and so forth. In starting the company, I had nothing. I had no income source.
This was a year before Quake was even released, so it's impossible that Elon was playing Quake during his final semester. When Elon admitted that he wasn't the one leveling his Path of Exile 2 account, he attempted to gaslight everyone by saying that he never took credit for leveling the account, or ever intended to. But this is again provably untrue. On Twitter, he did
I mean, no one cares about this. Okay, Diablo 4. I've seen Diablo 4. Bro, imagine if it's not him actually playing the Diablo 4. That would be wild.
Exactly that, saying, and I quote, "After so many deaths, I'm carefully building up a Path of Exile hardcore character." Aside from directly claiming that he was the one leveling his character, it's obvious to anyone with half a brain that streaming the character is implicitly taking credit for it. Unless you state otherwise, people are going to assume that the only person playing your character is you. Elon also claimed to be one of the best Diablo 4 players in the world, and his evidence for this was that he had a top-ranked time in an endgame dungeon called The Pit.
So are you in the top 20 in the world, or top 20? Wow.
Didn't he like get rank 1 at some point also, or was that something? I remember something about that also.
Oh, in Diablo.
Yeah.
Truthfully, I don't wish to spend too much time debunking this, as on a fundamental level, using this particular metric to distinguish players' skill is nonsensical to begin with. One of the core tenets of esports—
Why? The fuck? Why not? Why not?
and speedrunning is that every single competitor begins from the same position. In speedrunning—
Oh, no one gives a shit about it. Shut the fuck. No one cares, okay? No one cares. If they want to have Diablo 4 ladder boards because reasons, they can have them. No one cares that you start on the same pixel as fucking Mario. Shut up.
Unless stated otherwise, you use a brand new save file, carrying over nothing from previous playthroughs. This ensures that comparisons to other players are fair. When it comes to comparing pit times in Diablo 4, this is not the case, as you enter the dungeon already fully equipped. In this example, the most important factor isn't your skill, it's your gear. It's the specific build you choose to use, which involves many factors that have nothing to do with skill. The point is illustrated perfectly.
Yeah, I don't agree with this, okay? I think this counts. I think this shit counts. It is what it is. Also, look at the times, like tier 150 Spirit Board, and everyone else is just like it's literally 7 times on average longer. That is insane.
By the huge discrepancy in clear times for different classes. Elon's class, Spiritborn, could clear tier 150 in a couple of minutes, while all of the other classes took well over 10 minutes to clear a much lower tier. And the only reason Spiritborn could—
I mean, yeah, that's why you have different ladders for different classes. This was a Diablo 3 thing already.
Do so well is because players, including the player pretending to be Musk, were abusing unintended exploits to one-shot mobs, making the—
Okay, listen. If we remove all the bugs in Diablo 4, there's no game at this point, okay? So disqualifying him— okay. Connell is not currently disqualifying just Elon. He's disqualifying Diablo 4 as a speedrunning thing. He's disqualifying Path of Exile, by the way, as a speedrunning thing. He's disqualifying every game that's not fucking Mario at this point. Oh, I don't feel good about that one.
Dungeon absolutely trivial to complete. I'm not saying there isn't some skill involved, but unless everyone—
I'm sorry, how is fucking completing Mario any harder than this shit?
Is using the same class, the same build, and the exact same gear, it's impossible to accurately determine a player's skill level. And because Elon admitted to paying for someone else to play his account and give him the best gear, not only does he not deserve any credit for what his character can do, but it's probably not even him playing in his uploaded speedruns. He lied about everything else. The chance of him being honest in this—
Yeah, I believe that though.
instance is extremely slim.
That's the thing. When this first happened, there were a lot of people who said, why does this matter? He shoots rockets in space, right? He catches them and shit. Well, this matters because this demonstrates the ego that we're dealing here. The guy literally fucking catches rockets, but at the same time, he wants you to believe that he's the best gamer also. That is messed up in so many different ways, okay? That is the problem here. It's not the fact that this doesn't matter because he shoots rockets. It's because this matters a lot because he fucking shoots rockets.
And because he has lied so much already, I would need better evidence than just a screen capture to prove it was him actually playing.
Also, there's absolutely... Coddle is wrong. I remember this. The Spiritborn doesn't have anything that one-shots mobs, okay? Spiritborn just does 50 billion times more damage, and no one knows it's because it's a buggy interaction or whatnot. Because every class in Diablo 4 is bugged, and there are interactions that do 100 times more damage than they should. And there's interactions that do 0 damage instead of the 100 times more damage that they should, because Blizzard Entertainment sucks. Anyway, that was Coddle Jobst. Interesting, but, I mean, interesting is my conclusion here, I guess. Bye!